Hello. I'm Forrest. I've got a problem. What up, everybody? So sorry that the podcast is late. It is still going out on Tuesday, but much later than it should. Had some issues. Nobody's fault, really, but that's how it happened. My guest today was going to be next week, but luckily I had him scheduled today, so we were able to record today and release it today. Anyways, who cares? Nobody cares about this. Thanks for being here as usual. Please rate and comment. I've seen some new comments and ratings on YouTube and some of the platforms. Thank you so much for doing that. Please tell your friends to do it. Tell your friends to listen. I have new listeners from, I think, Jim and Amos from the At This Moment podcast, which formerly I don't know about that podcast. I think it's on the same feed. They sent some people my way. Thanks for coming. Stick around, check it out, see what you think. Thank you for everybody that's written to me personally, emails and texts and etc. DMs, words of encouragement. I appreciate that. And also go to my website, forrestshaw.net. I've got a bunch of dates coming up. I'm in the desert right now, but I have shows out in Palm Springs and Indio, etc. If you follow me on Instagram at Forrest with 2 R's Shaw, you can see those shows. And then I've got all sorts of shows coming up in Florida and a lot of shows in Florida. Las Vegas, I couldn't remember where else. Boise, Idaho, etc. And if you feel like donating money, I will accept it. Thank you very much. I appreciate the donations so far. It has gone 100% towards the podcast, and I appreciate that. We're already running late, so I'm just going to keep this short and simple. Let's meet our guest. Thanks for being here. I'll see you on the other side. Hey, everybody. I'm here with my friend, Jeff Leach, comedian, voice actor, regular acting. You've done regular acting?
Lots of regular acting too. Yeah, just an actor, script writer.
Yeah,
clown everything. For hire.
Does it all. He's here. You can find him at his website, jeffreyleach.com. Leach is Leach. And he's got links on everything, all to all socials on there, and also to his YouTube channel where his latest special is out. It's Jeff Leach TV on YouTube. So go check that out. And thanks for being here, Jeff.
My pleasure, man. Thanks for having me.
This is the question I ask everybody right off the bat. What's your problem?
Oh God, so many problems. What's my main problem? Well, I'm 6 years sober from alcoholism, and a few months off the weed. So my problem is I guess drink predominantly. A little bit of drugs, I've dabbled with all the drugs, many of the drugs, and I guess and some mental health issues as well. I guess we're broadening it out. My problems also used to include depression, a lot of self-loathing, and ongoing ADHD and OCD. So yeah, I got a touch of everything.
So we first met at the Comedy Cellar in Las Vegas, and
that's correct.
I'm glad we're doing this podcast. We actually had food the other day for the friend. We've always tried to get together and think
You're always too busy, mate. Too busy. Forrest is a busy chap. He's traveling up and down the country, touring, performing with superstars, headlining shows himself.
And talking to you when I met you, it seemed that we had, in a lot of ways, a lot of similar. My dog is doing something weird back there. Okay, okay. We had some similar music tastes because I think we were talking about some drum and bass music specifically.
Yeah, dance music and hip hop are probably my 2 favorite genres, but I love music of all genres. I'm a world music guy.
Jason Statham. That's who we were talking about.
Jason Status. Yeah, Jason Status.
What did I just say?
I like Jason Statham. That sounds good. Sounds like a British.
Statham. I know it's Status.
Jason Statham. You got Jason Statham in your brain. That's why.
I don't know why I did that. Because I was thinking of the accent.
Do you like a bit of drum and bass? Do you? Yeah.
And there was one time when we were talking about maybe go to a rave. We talked about it.
I mean, we can still do that. I'm still down to go raving. Me and my new lady in my life, we both love dance music, so I'm always down for a rave. Although, good
I'm
luck
down
finding
too.
a good one in LA because people don't dance anymore. Not of this generation, mostly because I think the drugs changed, and then
This is
also,
what I was gonna say. This is what I
yeah,
was gonna
yeah.
get. Where I was getting to. I mean, also people are holding up their phones nowadays. They don't dance. And I think people that listen to this podcast that know me might be surprised to find that I do dance because it doesn't really go with my personality. But you know, if the conditions are right, I can be out there. But
You love a shimmy. That's what I've heard.
shimmy, yeah.
A little two-step. Sure, that's what they call him out on the mean
So,
streets, the clubs of LA.
but drugs do play a large part in rave culture. That's why I was saying because as soon as you started going down your list of problems, I started thinking about it. I go, do you find it that people are going to these events because they like the music or they like to do drugs more? I feel like that would
God,
be
I don't know. I
that'd be
don't
part of
even
the
know why
problem.
they're going anymore. I think they're going these days just to do something. So they've got something to put on the Instagram story or to
Yeah,
make a TikTok, montage of. It used to be you used to go to clubs to dance and to let go of feelings. I mean, I'm not super old, but I'm 41 now, so I'm considered middle aged, and yeah, I used to go to clubs for two purposes. One, to dance and release the frustrations, maybe the problems, that we discussed in the podcast. I would release those problems on a dance
yeah,
floor, feel a little bit better about myself. And then also, yeah, that went hand in hand. The escapism went hand in hand with class A narcotics like
yeah.
ecstasy and cocaine and ketamine and MDMA crystals
Which is
and other
ecstasy,
fun
but
stuff.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
that's
but,
well, yeah, I know, but an
uh,
ecstasy tablet, I see like an ecstasy pill is different to like a little rock of MDMA that you just suck on, or kind of crystal MDMA. I know it's the same drug, but the pill you were really taking more of a chance, I guess, because it was normally cut up with crushed up, you know, light bulbs and Novocaine and a multitude of other shit,
yeah.
baby powder, talcum powder,
Weird stuff. Weird stuff. You had
Good
to
old
make
good.
sure you had the right pill.
Just
Yeah,
strengthening your gut, just training. The kid. Every generation says it about the following generation. The kids today, they're too soft. You haven't lived until you've ingested some crushed up baby powder and lightning bulbs, lightning bulbs. That sounds like the name of a drug. Can I get a
yeah.
couple of
Or
lightning
the type
bulbs?
of pill. It would have been the lightning bolt pills, even those
Yeah,
are good.
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. Now they normally had like a Bart Simpson stamped on them or doves. I remember doves because they were blue in hue, and they had a little dove printed on them. That was like a big
Mitsubishi too. That was like for
Mitsubishi.
somehow
Yeah, yeah.
Mitsubishi got in there. Like the shittiest of cars was like the pill that you wanted at a
Now that's
rave.
marketing genius right there. Someone over at
Yeah,
the Mitsubishi dealership was like, "Listen, I'm a
yeah,
salesman. Do you know what I mean? I can sell anything. Let me sell some Class A narcotics. We'll put a stamp on it, put it in their mind. It's subliminal messaging. It worked. It worked.
they should be doing more of it. Like every company should just have their own drug. Like
I
Kia
mean, they do,
cocaine.
right?
Like
It's
yeah,
just in this country, it's legalized, and they just come with 7 hours worth of reasons why it might kill you if you ingest it.
oh yeah, top 10 reasons. Um, yeah, well, so when I first started going, like I used to go to, I've never had an issue like I do with gambling, or drugs or alcohol, but I still did a lot of drugs and I would go to these events. And
Yeah.
then I don't, occasionally I might do mushrooms, but I don't occasionally some edibles like weed, but really not a lot. And when I first started going to these, like anything, even just a club with a DJ, I was kind of like, I gotta get used to this, like because I think it does, say what you want.
What part did you have to
And
get used to?
I think I was just being more aware of myself and like less uninhibited,
Right.
I think
Okay.
that's
Yeah.
it. Yeah. So,
That's what the
but
drugs are for.
I know, but this is supposed to be a podcast about people that have addictions and stuff. So that's why I was like, when you said it, I said, yeah. You mentioned weed at the beginning. So you said drinking and then weed. So the
I mean, I'm
weed,
addicted to alcohol. I think I've
yeah,
used in the last period of time. I can't get this lighting right. I'm just going to leave that on. I just have to be blown out. I think in the last like since I gave up booze, I've sort of dabbled with smoking more. I went through a period where I was really smoking a lot, like, 5 or 6 blunts a day, fat blunts. I was rolling them like cigars. And
Yeah.
I was buying pounds of weed at a time. That's a different kind of level when you're like going to someone and you're buying from a plug and he literally just gives you a bin bag, like a bin trash bag filled with weed. There you go. How much is that,
Pounds? What
Simon?
pounds is like what Wiz Khalifa does.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
Or Jeff Leach a
Yeah.
couple of years ago. But you buy it and you buy a couple of pounds and that might cost, it depends how good the weed is. And I think what I bought 1 pound of something that was really high grade, and that was like 1,200 for the or 800 for the pound or something. And I got something that was a bit cheaper, and that was like, I knew these were good prices. So I paid like something like $2,000 for all of my weed. And then I got
Wait, you
those.
got a pound of weed for $1,200?
Yeah, yeah.
That's very cheap.
Yeah, yeah. Weed is very cheap. That's actually expensive. You can get a pound of weed for like $400.
I guess because it's legal now. They've had to lower
It's not just
prices.
that. It's fucking cheap. Weed is really cheap to produce. The markup on it is huge. The fact that you go into a dispensary and you pay for a top quality 37%, 38%, nice testing, great tasting, little excuse me, little crystals on the edge of the fucking leaves, nugget of weed for like for an eighth of an ounce, you'll pay $60 for like a
Yeah,
really
no,
good,
when
well, is
I was in
insane.
college, it was more. So yeah, weed was a lot more. It was like
We used to
close to
get a dime
3,000
bag.
a
Yeah,
pound.
the same as you guys had out here. So in college, it's like $10, $20 for like a little, not even like for like a tenth of an ounce. Do you know what I mean? You could roll a
Yeah.
few joints with it, 2 or 3. And we didn't smoke joints back in England. We had spliffs. They were never joints. You didn't smoke straight weed. You got tobacco and then you put weed along it.
Yeah.
That was all you
Uh,
needed.
so getting back to the weed thing though. So I hate to even dredge this up. This is like the 12th episode and this seems to come up a lot. But is so you use the weed to help you work off of alcohol.
No, I think I just like I wasn't ready to cease escapism. That's what it was. It had nothing to do with the alcohol necessarily. I gave up the booze. I gave up all the class A's, coke and pills and ketamine and stuff like that. And then I was just like, I'm still not happy in reality. So it's always been about escapism. I think a lot of addicts are people who struggle with reality, not necessarily struggle with a substance. The substance is just the temporary cure to the ailment of existing in the real world. So when you feel
Yeah.
like daily overwhelming amounts of emotional dysregulation or physical and mental pain, anguish, grief, loss, self-loathing, an incessant internal monologue, it's really hard to escape that. So I'm sure that like a lot of other addicts, as an alcoholic, certainly, I found that if I just drank enough, eventually that voice turned off. Now, other voices came out then, other behaviors that were not healthy, which is why
Yeah.
I've sort of, been in a bunch of fights and locked up a couple of times in a jail cell. So, but it's not, I don't think it's necessarily the desire. It's not even like the drug is the best bit. It's just, when I do this thing, I get freedom from my own mind for just a brief period of time. And that's worth it at the beginning. And then when you're almost 3 decades into that, you're like, oh, this is a little bit boring now. It's no longer giving me the freedom, or I need to do so much of this to get the freedom that I put my life or other people's lives and happiness at risk, which I guess I've done both of, because, I've definitely driven when I was younger. And, I'm sure I had other people in the car when I was drunk sometimes. So I was risking my life and theirs. And then definitely, the peace and sanctity of my life was consistently in upheaval. And I think for a lot of other people surrounding someone who's suffering from an addiction like that, it has a knock-on effect as well, which is why Al-Anon exists, But
Yeah. The escape from
it's-
reality, yeah, for sure, is I
what about
you
you as a
know
gambler? Is it the same? Are you
oh
escaping
yeah,
reality, or are
100%.
you
It's like
chasing a high that you don't find the mundane nature of reality?
Both. But I mean, the escape from reality is, when you're when you're gambling, that's what you're doing. I'm not like, oh, I'm going to be gambling and doing something else. Like you'll see people that are in Vegas and you know, they're they're like, hey, do you want to go to sit at the bar and we can like hit on the little poker machine and have a drink or something? And
Right. Yeah.
I'm like, what? No, I don't want to talk to you. It's like I'm in my own world there. I'll talk to other people that are gambling that I don't know, because I'll create this world where I'm just like, I'll show up at this table and I'm not a degenerate gambler who has destroyed his life and lost all this money and broken all these relationships into shattered them into pieces. And
you make it sound so
yeah.
glamorous, Forrest.
No, but that's who I am in reality. But if I sit at the end of a table and there's all these other people who are definitely degenerates there too, for the most part, we have our own fantasy now. Hey, what do you do? Oh, how's it going? Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. Blah, blah, blah.
You're just a guy socializing with some
Yeah.
other cool guys while you just hang out. It's like watching the game. It's the same thing.
And then let's say you win some money. Then you start thinking about like, you know what I'm going to do? You know what would be really nice is the girl I've been dating that I have not been paying attention to because I've been gambling. I'm going to buy her something now, and then that'll make things better. And so I create this whole other fantasy world in my head too of like how I'm going to fix everything through gambling,
Right.
And also especially with casinos and stuff, that's what they thrive on. Their whole thing is like, hey, it's not just gambling. You want to see a show? You want to go to dinner? You want to, like, every ad to them in like a cocktail dress and a
it's glamorous,
tuxedo.
mate. Vegas,
yeah.
And they want you there the entire
Yeah.
time. That's why those casinos are like mazes, and their signage is really badly done. You know,
yeah,
you
just
must
a vague
never
arrow.
leave.
You've been waiting to use that, haven't you?
I just wanted to use the echo button. Yeah.
I mean, we work in casinos, and some of the casinos I've been in for weeks or months, if you add them all up, and I still don't know my way around them. Sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, it's that way.
It's
and
impossible.
You, like, live in them. Yeah.
It's impossible to know your way around a casino.
Yeah,
I'm intrigued because, like, with substance abuse, whether it's alcohol or drugs or whatever, even food, I feel like there's definitely an element of like, all right, I'm using this thing to immediately change like a sad state to a no longer even compos mentis state. Whereas when you gamble, even if you're high on the drug of right, I'm escaping my reality for a brief moment, you're still most of the time you're aware of what you're doing. Whereas, when you're blackout drunk and you've, fallen over a wall and broken your ankle and taking a shit in your own pants, you're generally a bit.
Maybe some people are, but in my experience, there's been times where I've been at a casino and I've looked at my phone thinking I've been there for 45 minutes and I've been there for 6 hours.
That's wild. Okay, cool.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, not cool, but
and yeah, but you're just it's like blacking out. You're awake, but you're blacking out. Nothing is. My phone could be vibrating in my pocket. People could be calling me. I'm not picking that up. I'm not dealing with that shit.
Right.
I'm gambling right now. That's what matters, And
that's wild. I didn't see. This is how I'm naive to other people's addictions sometimes. Even though there's a lot of commonality in experience.
You win a jackpot. They're like, you want some food? They'll come up to you like, you want to go to the
you're
noodle
right.
bar?
Yeah, here's a drink. Like, sure. Here's some food.
Drinks
served by a lady in a cute little outfit as well. That's something nice to look at.
Like there's a shitty casino outside of LA. It's in Commerce. You ever go down I-5? And
no, I've been to one of the casinos. There's a not Hollywood one. I don't know. There's one that my buddy goes to. Oh, Hollywood Park. Yeah, I've been there.
By the airport. Yeah. By the way,
I've been to the Hustler one as well. There's a Hustler one, right?
There's a Larry Flint's Hustler one. There's one called Hawaiian Gardens. There's one called Bicycle that's in Bell Gardens. I've been to all of them.
$300 at each of these places on a poker table.
That's very responsible. So, but
is it? I don't know.
To me, it is. Yeah, $300.
That's a really, really fancy date for me and my lady. You know what I mean?
Hollywood Park Casino, I have not been to in probably a year and a half, I'd say. And if I
Okay.
walked in there, people would wave to me and say, "Hey, what's up, Forrest?" Like,
Really?
like people that work there, yeah, would be like, "What's up? I haven't seen you in a while." Like, but my
Damn,
point
you're in there a
is
lot.
there's one if you go down I-5, it's called Commerce. It's right next to a giant outlet mall called the Citadel or some shit.
Okay.
And the Commerce actually has a hotel attached to it, and it's like a Crown Plaza or some shit. And I've been in the one time I was in there, and I think I got in there around 9 p.m. and I was just playing blackjack, and mostly blackjack and baccarat, but mostly blackjack. And I was betting. I had like my own table because the amount of money I was betting was what you wouldn't be able to bet at a normal table. They're like, we're gonna set you up at this other table here, whatever. You can just do that. And the guy came up to me and said, "Hey, do you want a room here?" Because most of the casinos in LA don't have a room. And I said, "I've never. I don't live far from here. I only live like 35 minutes from here, you know." And he goes, "Yeah, but you look really tired." And I said, he goes, "I don't think you should be driving." He goes, "You've been here all night." And I looked down and it was like 7 in the morning. Right. So I'd been there like 8 or 9 hours, whatever. And again, felt to me like I was there an hour or two. And he was being nice to give
Maybe
me the
you're a
room.
time traveler. Maybe you're not. It's not addiction. Maybe you're just a time traveler.
Well, my money is time traveling too then. And so, but the crazy thing is like, that is, I know he was trying to be nice, but they're also trying to keep you there. You know what I'm saying? And
For
so
sure, yeah.
it's like
You'll
this
wake up at
insidious
like
thing.
lunchtime, you have a few
Yeah.
hours sleep, and then you wake up and go, you know what? I just hit the table a little bit before I head back.
I if I walked away when I was up, because people are like, you must be a bad gambler. If I walked away all the times when I was up, I'd have a lot of money. Well, I don't know actually what I'd have to figure it out because I've lost a lot of money too. But there's so many times where I've been up like exorbitant amounts of money, like enough to buy a car. And I'm just like, I can't walk. I couldn't walk from where you cash out at the cashier's check because they make you again walk through the fucking casino. Now you've got this cash in your pocket, like, hey, one more thing before you leave. There's a fucking slot machine here, you know? So I couldn't make it from there to my car without being like, you know what? Let me take out a couple thousand, do the, you know, that kind of shit.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
So I don't, it's, you know, it's different in the fact that, you know, obviously alcohol and drugs are affecting you in a physical way that's visible to others, but gambling is affecting
And
you
also,
in a physical way.
eventually, with alcohol and drugs, if you take enough of them, which I found out, eventually your body just shuts down. You just pass the fuck out. I had my heart stop at a music festival once. You know, my body just literally went, enough.
Yeah.
And I walked myself to a medical tent because my heart rate was incredibly irregular. It was like really fast and then super slow and then really fast and super slow. And I was like, I'm not in a good place. I think I need to go to I felt completely cold. My body just went, it was like you know what I really believe it was like the touch of death. Like he just put his hand on my shoulder and went, "It is your time, son." And I could feel him, and I was like, "I'm not ready yet, motherfucker." So I walked to the medical tent, and I got in there, and I told him what I'd taken and what I was feeling. It was quite a long list of what I'd taken. And then the next thing I knew, I was waking up, and they were like panicking. There was people all around me. They were hooking me up to an IV to put fluids in me, and apparently my heart had stopped for a period of time, and they were like discussing what they were going to do to resuscitate, and then like came back out of it. Yeah, I was like out for 17 seconds or something like that. And
did you see anything?
Nah, I didn't see shit, man. I think you need to like be out for a little while to.
Yeah.
People have these out of body experiences, but when they're on the surgery table and they're out for a period of time or whatever, I mean, like, I don't know. And also, I was in a very altered state, so I don't think I was really. I can't really remember much from it. I just remember sort of waking up and one of my friends in tears. I remember looking over and she was crying her eyes out, and I was like, "What's wrong?" She was like, "You're dead. You died."
Wow. That's
I'm not dead. Shut up. And then, but the difference is like, at least with that, you can't drink. Well, I mean, you can drink until you lose your wife, your home, your belongings, etc. You can do drugs until you've sold everything in your physical realm. But at least on the one-time experience, eventually your body just gives out to certain drugs, to certain addictions. Whereas with gambling, I guess as long as you can stay awake, you can just keep going and going.
it's terrible.
And going.
And there's been times when my heart's not giving out, but I'm tired to where I'm like, I should be going to bed, and I'm keeping myself up to gamble, you know?
I think though, if you fall asleep at a table, they tend to like just take you out of the game and cash you out.
They'll
Right?
kick you out. Yeah. Yeah. You can't fall asleep anywhere in a casino. They don't want that. But you could fall asleep at the wheel of your car on the way home for sure. That's but there, I would tell you one time, there was a time where I thought I was going to have a heart attack gambling, but it was because there was a lot of money in the table. People have asked me how much I've lost. Sent me questions on
What's
the
the biggest
podcast.
pot you've ever lost?
I don't know. So I'm hesitant to talk a lot of numbers on here because I don't do that normally, because it becomes like this kind of addiction porn thing. But what I said, the biggest amount that I've won,
it's got to be over $100,000. I'm guessing
it's over 100,000. But the biggest amount I've won and when is over that. But it's also like, it would be almost everybody in the world would, if they had this as a salary, would be comfortable with that for the rest of their life, you know?
Right.
It was just so much money. And the amount that I've lost was at the time more than I earned in a year. And I was a biologist, so I wasn't earning a ton, but it was a lot.
The thing a lot of people don't understand about gambling as well, especially professional gamblers, you know, most of whom are addicts of gambling anyway. These guys who go and play on these tables where, you know, the pot's like hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, or even like 1.2 mil is the final, you know, whatever. These guys that are playing with hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars, a lot of them, they work in groups, right? In groups of like 10 or so. And they kind of float one another. They have like groups where they float each other. So one guy will be literally, they'll go from, oh, well, this week I've got $26 million. But next week I'm out. I owe 2 mil to someone. Do you know what I mean? Or I'm out. So then the buddy floats the other buddy, and they keep it within a sort of little group between them. None of them are ever really like wealthy for any real period of time. That's what I've heard from a couple of professional gamblers.
For sure. Or they're trying to figure out how to cheat the system, stuff like that. There's a very famous poker player named Phil Ivey. He's probably one of the most famous poker players. And there's a podcast you can listen to about he and this woman from China that was not famous at all. They took the Borgata in Atlantic City, and they took a casino somewhere in London, I think, for like $9 or $10 million playing baccarat. And she was able to read the cards on the backside because they were printed weird to tell what the numbers were. And he used his status, Chasen's status. He used his status to be able to say, hey, you know what? We only want one dealer. We don't want to switch cards. We only want to be in this to get these edges. And they famously were taken to court. They said they had to pay back all the money and this and that. And, you know, he's a professional poker player, but
they didn't get their legs broken or worse, you know, because generally these casinos, even if the businesses are legitimized somewhat behind the scenes now, you know, they're not.
Well, they didn't figure it out. They didn't figure it out till later. And also, he's too famous.
You can always hire a hitman later, you know.
Well,
like it's not.
But he's arguably the most famous poker player, you know, out there. So that I think they were probably like, hey, that'd be a bad look. But but getting back to what we were saying about the heart thing, like, so there, like with drinking, I imagine you know when I know this is for right. You start off where this is how much it takes me to get drunk or blackout or whatever. Then I need this much, or hard liquor or whatever. You know, you're just ramping up your drinking more and more. That's how it was. Same thing with gambling. And I got to this point where I was getting to a point where the amounts that I was betting, I had not been to that level before, but it was at such a level that if I lost, it was like debilitating to me.
You're addicted to that. That's what I'm saying. The cards was just the catalyst or the fuel for the addiction of feeling more alive than you ever would, or more excited. Because even if you lose, that rush, that emotional dysregulation, that huge rush of energy and adrenaline that comes with, I could win $500,000 on this hand, or I could lose $350,000 on this hand.
This particular hand, it wasn't that much, but the bet, and I don't mind saying how much it was. So, but at this point, I had not bet this much money, not even close. So I was playing blackjack, and the amount was $3,000 for one hand, just one hand of blackjack.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
which at the time I'd never even come close to betting that much money. And I don't know if anyone's that's listening, or if you don't know blackjack, how to play it. If you get two of the same cards, you can split them. But if you split them, you have to put the equal amount of money out. So then if 3,000, I know you might know.
And what did you get? Two face cards?
I ended up having to split it 4 times. I didn't have to split shit. So I split $3,000 4 times. That's $12,000.
What were your cards?
And two of them were doubled. So that there was $18,000 on the table. And at the time, probably the most I had bet on a hand before that was a couple hundred or something. But I decided I had won all this money and I was going to do some crazy shit. So I had $18,000 out on the table, and it was split 4 ways with 2 doubles. What were my cards? They were, it was 7s against 6s. I remember that. I couldn't tell you the exact hands. I know that 2 of the hands were trash. They needed a bust.
And they flopped a 5 out, did they?
Yeah. And I was playing at the table with another fucking person that also wanted to, they had splits and this and that, whatever. They didn't have enough money at the table. And so they wanted to go to the ATM and get more money. And by the way, my heart was going so fast then. Like pounding, I don't know, 100, 150, 160, 170 BPM, as if I was like in the Tour de France or something.
Drum and bass. Your heart turned to drum and bass.
Exactly. They're back. Jason Statham. And I really thought I was going to pass out. I knew I wasn't going to die. I don't think you can die from that, but I don't know. I'm not always in the best of shape in my life, so who knows? And this fucking guy, I tried to give him chips. The casino wouldn't let me give him the chips, so they had to go to the ATM. It took about 5 or 6 minutes for me to find out the results of this hand. And in that time period, I thought I was going to pass out, like my chest was beating through my chest. So I just remember that specifically too. Like, I don't think my heart's not going to stop. I'm not comparing it to what happened to you at all, but it's like, it's still just a shit with addiction where you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, you put your health on the line to chase some kind of a high.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I look back at a lot of my addiction period of being lost within my addictions, I guess, rather than navigating out of them or having turned my back on them. I look back at a lot of them. Yes, there's a lot of like sad stories. There's a lot of embarrassing stories. There's a lot of shameful stories. There's a lot of regret. There's a lot of stupidity. Oh, so much stupidity. Like having my heart stop was the only time I really caused something that could have caused my own death. But then the number of times I got beaten up in Lithuania until I was unconscious, after a coke deal went wrong. Like,
Lithuania. Why were you in Lithuania?
Why not, bro? Why weren't you in Lithuania? No, I was there because I was DJing. This is back when I used to be a DJ and a producer. So I used to do dance music for like some remixes for Ministry of Sound and Island Records. I was a very fledgling producer and a reasonably established DJ in the UK and around some clubs in Europe. So I was out there DJing on a little tour. And 2 guys I've been hanging out with the whole night. Friends of friends, apparently. And my buddy, my contact, my main guy, went home. He didn't want to stay out and keep partying because he doesn't do coke. So I was doing cocaine at like 7 a.m. in the front living room of some random people who I didn't fucking know really anyone there. And these 2 guys went, "Hey, our dealer is coming. You want more cocaine?" I was like, "Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, I got some money from the DJ set." They'd see me get paid. Anyway, so they said, "Oh yeah, he's out here." And I said, "If you have your money, you come, you can buy." And I went, "All right, no worries." So I walked to the end of the driveway. I'm like, "Where's this guy?" I turned around to ask them where he was, and one of them just smashed me in the face, and then they kicked me in the head until I was unconscious. It was not nice.
I didn't mean to interrupt you too, because you were building towards something there.
I was building towards something, yeah. I was going to just say, like, despite all of those stupidity moments, there is also a part of me that looks back on my addiction like, I had some fun, man. I definitely I'm glad I had those experiences. I don't think I would have the respect and comfort and gratitude in the life I lead now if I hadn't had at least an opportunity first to go and experience a bunch of really, really extreme life moments. And I'm glad I did, and I'm glad I came out the other side. Now, not everyone is that lucky. In fact, a number of my friends are most definitely not. They're dead, So it's like, I know that it doesn't always work out well. But I'm going to say for myself personally, yes, I'm glad I'm sober. Yes, I'm glad I've turned my back on addiction. However, I'm also glad I was an addict at one point.
I say that too. I say that as well. I say that it's not the best thing that ever happened to me, but it shaped who I am, you know, in a lot of
For
ways.
sure.
And um, there's a lot of lessons that you learn along the way too. And to the fact where sometimes I've heard people that were like, well, I didn't really have any rock bottom because I took one drink or I did drugs one time or I did, and I knew I was an addict, so I didn't do it. I almost feel bad for them. I mean, I'm happy they're alive and healthy, but it's almost like, oh, you didn't even have the experience of what that is, and I feel like you have to like slot. I don't know. I think part of life is kind of going through some shit to get to the other side to figure out.
Part
And
of
if you're
your
lucky
life
enough to
is,
get,
part
yeah,
of my life is, but I get it for other people. You know what? Maybe they've already done that. Maybe they've had their playthroughs. They're sort of, maybe they've done
yeah,
50 or 60 playthroughs. They've done all the shitty stuff. They learned the lessons they had to learn. So this life, they're being afforded an opportunity to evolve in different ways. Or maybe they haven't even got to that stage yet where they're ready or resilient enough to get through those things. I think a lot about my dad. You know, my dad passed away from his drinking 2 years ago, and he was more of a, he was an alcoholic his whole life, most definitely, but he succumbed to his alcoholism and his alcoholic behaviors as a late stage alcoholic. You know, so he used to drink, but he was also highly functioning, and it wasn't like he was shit faced all the time. But he used to come home every night and have a little whiskey after work. Like he'd have a couple of glasses of whiskey on his own and listen to music. He would drink. He'd drink beers on the weekend. He would drink. Um, to escape his memories of childhood abuse, you know, like being beaten the shit out of by my grandfather and watching his mother get beaten up and stuff like that, you know, like stuff that a child should not have to go through. He never escaped his addiction, certainly not in his last form of his life. He had maybe like 7 or 8 months where he was sober. I managed to get him off the booze, and well, he managed to get himself off the booze, but with support from, you know, family and some friends, and a son who's an alcoholic in recovery and trying to really push him towards that freedom. And then he slipped off the wagon, and that was it. It was all like, you know, tea mugs filled with vodka, you know, lying about his drinking the whole time, and then bottles and bottles and bottles and bottles and bottles, and no food. And then his stomach burst, and he fucking died. My dad had to go through that. I that really hurts when your parent dies to something like that. It's hard enough when your parent dies of old age, you know, I'm sure, for a lot of people, or an illness. But a self-induced, like, slow suicide, it sucks. However, I know that he had to die. I used to carry around a lot of pain around that, and now I miss my dad, but I also understand that, first of all, his story was to die in that way. So maybe if he comes back again, or he has another life, or he goes somewhere else, he's learned some lessons that I hope will, somewhere at the back of his mind or his soul, when it's in a new body, he'll have another. He hopefully next playthrough he won't have that experience. And also, he had to die, and my best friend had to kill himself 3 weeks before my dad died from his alcoholism, so that I could really dive down the path of learning that I wanted to live and really get in control of not just emotional regulation, but my addictions, my emotional regulations, or but also my depression. I had to really, if they hadn't both died, the two men who literally meant the most to me in the world, my best friend, my brother, the man who was going to be my best man at my wedding and godfather to my children, for whom I'm godfather to his children. He had to kill himself. My dad, the man that I just wanted to accept and love me and blah, 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 and accept himself, had to die in such a miserable, lonely way so that I could come out of, really, not just come out of my place, because I was already sober-ish, except for the weed, but fly. And that's our story. That's our story. That's our playthrough. And I sort of, rather than fight that now and feel too much pain about it, I've kind of accepted that, and I have gratitude for it. I know that sounds fucked up, but I have gratitude that those people, that was their story, so that they could afford me the opportunity to change my story. Otherwise, I don't know, if they both hadn't died like that, I may have been, you know, dying at the bottom of a bottle, or some awful drug, or, you know,
Yeah, it's
having
not
an
fucked up.
accidental fentanyl overdose, you know, 2 years later. So, you know, it is what it is. It's like, I don't know. When I
It's
meet
not fucked
people
up.
who don't,
I think it's you're not saying, "Oh, I'm happy that happened," but you're saying that
Of course
happened,
not.
and
I wish they were
therefore,
alive.
yeah, that happened, and therefore, I'm using that as a lesson that they've taught me through
Yeah,
their
just
own,
or even I
like,
just think that's fate. That's what was determined.
yeah,
Like there was a purpose. There was a purpose for all of us, you know.
yeah,
And I'm not trying to tie this necessarily into theology or religion, you know, my concepts of greater powers, higher powers, especially when I go to AA meetings, you know, I don't see like a man in the sky sitting in a cloud going, "Oh, I am God." You know, there's none of that. I should have used it there, shouldn't I? I am God. It's none of that business. It's just one energy. We're all part of it. That's how I see a higher power. You know, God is everything. We are all God. We all have God inside of us. Blah 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 blah. But I do believe there's some level of purpose for each of us. Some level of understanding what you can control in your own development, your own evolution, and absolutely their deaths were huge catalysts in pushing me down the path that I've gone down, which I keep looking at all these experiences I've had over the last couple of years, and they all tie to emotional regulation, which I think addiction does at its core as well. I can't handle this feeling. I need to kill it or run away from it or escape it or bury it or nullify it or whatever with booze or drugs or gambling or sex or whatever it is. And you know, there's a Jeff whose dad and best mate didn't die, and that Jeff might have died early in life or never really got control of his emotional regulation to
you keep talking
perfection.
about the playthroughs. What is this, like some sort of Buddhism thing you're going to doing, or is that?
Um, nah, just I mean, look, you know, our physical body is an avatar. I believe that. You know, we're just you know, we're a soul, we're an energy, we're a spark of energy. We're all pieces of dust. None of us is
Because
a protagonist.
playthroughs
So
to me means like this is you lived your life and then you're going to live it again, or it's the
well, I'm
same
a gamer,
person
man. I'm a
living these
video
different.
gamer, so I look at it
Yeah,
like whatever this singular existence that is running in a linear format, which is not how time works anyway. This
yeah,
linear, singular dimensional existence that I am currently in, that me, my real identity, behind the British bloke with a gap tooth and behind the ego inside of his head, you know, the super ego, the id and the super ego, the child and the parent, you know, blah blah blah. Behind that, there's just a little observer of energy. That observer of energy is really me. That's me. That's my entity. That's my source. That's my soul, my Shakti, my Chi, whatever fucking denomination you come from. There's a name for it. And that is me. And that me is having an experience in this body. And I'm very happy for it. It's great. I'm loving it. It's good. I'm trying to work on making it the best it can be, all those things. And has a brain that I'm trying to develop in the same way. So I really do look at it these days a bit like a video game,
yeah.
like a save game. And I don't know
I
what
know what you're
happens. I
saying.
wouldn't prefer
Yeah,
to, you know what I mean?
yeah.
It
I mean,
doesn't mean that.
yeah. So my guy's still trying to figure out this level. I guess the playthrough. Because when you
Yeah.
said playthrough, now when you say video game, it makes much more sense. Than I mean, it made sense either way to me. But I was like, oh yeah, video game playthrough, sure,
Here's what I think: if
yeah,
you don't learn all the lessons you're meant to learn on this in this human existence, I think
yeah,
that's what the concept of reincarnation is. You come back and you have to come back into another life to learn some more lessons, and then another one to learn some more lessons, or you can like skip levels, man. You can go from like the beginner mode to the hard mode. Some people come in with skills from other games. You know, I was a pro first person shooter player, so I got some great hand eye coordination. So guess what? Even though I'm playing a myth and mythology game now with swords and magic spells, my aim is on point. So I'm like,
yeah,
actually, I'm flying and progressing in that world, you know, blah, 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 blah. And I genuinely believe there's some things that I have aptitude for and natural ability for that I watch other people really struggle with. And I know that there's things they can do expertly that I struggle with, but I truly am starting to view this particular existence as, oh, I've been around a few times. I think that I feel that, and my purpose. I'm getting closer and closer to what my source energy's purpose is, and part of it is navigating the worst shit to then be of service to myself, so I can be more of service to other people. I know that the more stuff I acknowledge, I'm fucking up here, or I'm lying to myself here, or I've been hurting myself in this way, or I have been hiding this vulnerability or this insecurity, and I should really own it. the more I go through that process and own that insecurity, work through that vulnerability, put the hard work in where I'm scared of failure instead of just letting it pass me by. As soon as I started doing that, which really kicked off a couple of years ago, if I'm honest, and really in the last year has come into, I feel like I've really got traction now, motion on it. I'm finally flying. And as I fly, I'm making sure to keep a balance between the successes and the gratitude I have for life. I put an equal amount back into trying to help others or volunteer time, energy, skills, money, support, advice, whatever the fuck it is that's necessary. And it's great. So I feel like this playthrough, and it doesn't feel like I've done this previously. I feel like this playthrough, I'm getting it right. My dad, I don't think he got his playthrough right. I think my dad suffered some horrendous experiences as a kid, and he never allowed himself to be navigated out of that. He also came from a generation where therapy wasn't a thing. He also, came from a very working class East London Cockney upbringing, stiff upper lip and all that, and you get on with it and work hard and blah, 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 and you don't talk about your feelings. And, so he had to walk so I could run. I recognize that. But yeah, whatever it is, this playthrough, that's what I mean by playthrough.
Yeah,
And
I like it.
You can be you can be reincarnated many times within your singular existence, by the way, as well. I believe that.
I like it. I know, yeah, because I'm just thinking of video games that I've liked playing. Like Uncharted was my real favorite one.
Well, I thought you were going to say fucking solitaire and gambling games. Casino Royale Online or whatever the fuck they're called. There's so many of those, man. And really,
by the way, just side note, what the fuck? Everything now that I've been poking, my algorithm is a lot of gambling now because I've been doing this podcast and I've been like looking up stuff and I've talked about it previous episodes where people are filming themselves gambling now, which is insane. You used to not even be able to take out your phone at a casino. Now they're setting up like fucking. But also I get like this thing where it's like I'm making money by playing solitaire. It's like all these apps. I'm like, who the fuck makes money?
Yeah, or
I
chess.
know it's not true. It's like some bullshit. But that, and then there's this one video game, Royal Kingdom, that must have the budget of a fucking small country because it's like LeBron James, fucking who else have I seen him? Kevin Hart. It's like these commercials where they're like, I don't know if you've seen them. And LeBron
I know
James,
exactly what you're. I know exactly what you're talking about.
The budget's out of fucking control for these games. I'm like,
every day I see one of these celebrities, like they're Will Ferrell's doing them now. They're all doing them for these shitty apps and these shitty things. I get it. They haven't had any acting work for a while. I get it. But also, every time I see one of those adverts, when I see a celebrity selling a gambling site or like an app, the gambling app, or one of those shitty in-game purchases, mobile games or whatever that are basically gambling apps. They basically are, they get you addicted. You need this upgrade, otherwise you can't get your base, and then you won't progress to the next level, and blah blah blah. I lose all fucking respect for that person completely.
Dude, it is one step. It's one step away from this, honestly, and I'm 100% with you. It's one step away from Jamie Foxx, who does like the MGM gambling apps. It's one step away from him popping up in your email and hey, I know a guy in Nigeria. They just got to send money to, and so it's literally one step away from that. Where
I think it's even worse, man. I think these people are basically there because most of these adverts are really targeted at children. They're targeted at young adults because they're like, you're gonna soon enough, you're the tech savvy ones who are gonna be able to do this shit. So in a year's time, make sure you get this. You'll get $50 straight up, free bet, $50. So basically what they're doing, all these streamers who do it as well, they're basically going to like the school gates and going, hey, you know that like drugs are illegal, right? If you get caught with those, you get arrested. But if you want to get like hooked on something, this little game, look, it's so pretty. Look all the colors. Yeah. You play that. That's okay. You're not going to get any trouble for that. Look at that. These fucking little perverts. They're basically schoolyard pushers. That's what they are.
Yeah, I did a fake ad for a thing called Prize Kings. I just put it on my Instagram, and I was like saying all these, just making some jokes about that.
Do you hate your family and your children?
Yeah,
Would you like to drive a wedge between them?
we'll give you some free money. You're gonna just put more money in and lose it anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly.
That kind of. And
I wonder what's the amount of money these celebs get for that. Where's the money where you go, you know what? I'm happy to sell my fucking soul and advertise a gambling ad to basically children. What's the amount for them?
It depends which gambling app you're talking about, but it's not enough because, I mean, in reality, the number isn't that big, really, because those companies can only afford so much. So, like, let's say
10, 15 million, do you reckon? Something like that. Some of these people get.
I don't know. Maybe the people that do the campaigns, like Jamie Foxx was the MGM, bet on MGM. He was the campaign guy. He did a series of ads. Then he got ill or whatever happened, but he's back. He's doing them again.
He got replaced by his lab grown.
I've seen the conspiracy theorists. I've seen the conspiracy theorists. So they're like, that's not him.
I'm sure there's one or two of them that is true. They are just literally, they've just found another person kind of like, you're going to replace this person. I'm sure of it. Not Jamie Foxx, I don't think. I think that's him.
It's tough to be Jamie Foxx, though. You at some point, you're going to have to like sing and dance and do some impressions. And
he was a multifaceted performer, man.
Yeah.
Great actor, great singer, great pianist, great stand-up. Killer. A quadruple threat, at least. But
still selling gambling, though, by the way.
He will sell your children fucking mobile apps. Yeah. he does want people to destroy themselves and live a degenerate life.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what I'm saying, man.
There's one commercial where he calls Barry Sanders, NFL running back, who's playing pickleball or some shit. And it's like, he's literally trying to get some exercise. And he tries to drag him down. He goes, I got to put these bets in, Barry. Help me out here. I'm like, what the fuck is this ad, dude? Like, you're calling someone else to get, like, fuck off. But to me, the worst one now is ESPN. ESPN's a betting app. That should be fucking illegal. That's like Sesame Street coming up with like an app that you have to pay to play it. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, we have an app, kids, download it. But if you want to be on there, you got to buy these, these Bert and Ernie tokens or whatever the fuck. But ESPN is like, it's a sports network. And they're like, oh, you can bet through us.
Well, cool. Surely the money would be cookies. Like Cookie Monster would run the bank. Yeah. And you'd have to purchase cookies. Yeah.
Yeah. Cookies for sure. Cookie Monster would run the bank. He's not very organized, Cookie Monster.
They're going to get rid of Sesame Street anyway. Aren't they defunding public broadcast television stuff?
It's on the chopping block. I know that. It's literally, they're having Senate hearings about whether they should defund PBS and
Sesame
NPR.
Street.
Yeah, Sesame Street, Mr. Rogers, and documentaries about birds. Oh,
anything educational that supports the development of children. Let's get rid of it. It's wild, man. And like so I don't know. I mean, maybe they've got a problem. Maybe these celebrities got a problem. They're addicted to money and fame. Can I tell you a funny story from literally?
Some of them are gambling addicts too, by the way. So there could even be that. There could even be that where they're like, hey, you have this marker here at Caesars. You owe us $3 million. So
let me throw this
we're gonna
at you.
do. Yeah.
Here's where I think the addiction, like, to fame and celebrity, and like, I know we're at time as well, so I apologize for going on a bit.
But we're fine, but yeah.
I had, I've been questioning I like seeing the humanity of celebrities in certain ways. Like, I love seeing a celebrity like Keanu Reeves having a coffee on a bench looking a bit forlorn. Because I'm like, he's a real guy, man. That's a real dude. His bike gets pushed over by a homeless woman, and he's like, oh, fuck, And I love that because it's Keanu, man. Who doesn't love Keanu? Great guy. Good man. But then, yes, like 2 days ago, I was driving back from some shows. I was doing some shows in the Bay Area. I was driving back from Sacramento to Los Angeles, and I was going past the exit for Santa Clarita. I was just before the exit for Santa Clarita. As I was driving along, there was this big black Escalade, big fancy SUV on the right-hand side of me. And it caught my eye because the license plate was a personalized license plate, and it said B Pitt, as in letter B and then space Pitt. So, of course, I'm like, that's hilarious. I love that someone has got on the license plate B Pitt to pretend like they're Brad Pitt so that people look at them when they go by or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I'm driving alongside, ready to give the guy like, hey, nice, and funny license plate. And as I drove alongside, it was actually fucking Brad Pitt. It was Brad Pitt. It was him.
What? His license
Why?
plate is B Pitt.
B Pitt is his license plate. What? Why? How? What in the unholy matrimony of insecurity-driven desire to be noticed? The fuck is that? I love Brad Pitt. I've always thought Brad Pitt was, if I had to compile a list of 5 men, I would let diddle my fiddle. Brad's on that list. Of course he is. He's an archetypal man's man. We love him. He's a good actor as well. I've always respected his performances, especially in his later work. He's handsome as fuck. He seems like a charming, cool guy. But it was this moment of just going, it doesn't matter. And this is how, and it really, I'm relating this to addiction. It doesn't matter how much of something you've got. It doesn't matter how many drugs you got in your system, how loaded you're feeling. You still can't escape that little niggling voice of self-doubt and self-loathing that you need to escape from. It doesn't matter how much money you've got on the table you've already won in that day in the casino. You're still a voice telling you need more. You have to push yourself further. It doesn't matter how much money, fame, success, opportunity, top-tier supermodel sex you've had, perfect jawbone structure you may possess. You can still be Brad fucking Pitt and insecure enough that you get the license plate B Pitt so that people stare at you when they drive past you on the freeway. And that, my friend, is what addiction's all about. So, Brad, if you're listening, I'd love to take you to a meeting, bro. We need to get you beyond that because you're succeeding in every other area of this playthrough, but you've failed at that part. That's my.
He might be listening. I've met him.
I think
before,
he is.
So
I'm going to assume he is.
A way. He's he was on the Jim Jeffries show famously as the weatherman, and then Jim and him became friends. I'd say friends, and so I met him through him. So there's a chance he's listening. There's a very small chance, but maybe he's like, hey, you know what?
Jim Jeffries has does he have the license plate J Jeffries?
No. But I don't think he even has tints. You can tell it's him. So it's like you'll be able to see it. You'll be able to see it's him. I think it's the Escalade with the tints. That's it. Like, come on. Like
he had no. But here's the deal: the back windows blacked out. Front windows, I could see it was Brad Pitt. I was looking at. He was 6 feet away from me.
Yeah.
I was like,
"Are you sure? Are you sure? Wait, he was driving, Brad Pitt.
He was driving his vehicle, about to take the Santa Clarita turnoff. Which is where he lives.
Drive. Are you sure that okay? Are you sure there's not
him.
a world
where no. It wasn't a lookalike. It wasn't a lookalike. It was Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt.
All right, we're done.
Yeah,
we gotta go.
Wild.
But Jeff, thanks for being here. Everybody, go to jeffreyleach.com and you can find all sorts of links on there to
at Jeff Leach on everything. Come find me there. That's the easy bit. Socials at Jeff Leach, TikTok,
I was
Instagram.
Say, at Jeff Leach, at Jeff Leach TV for YouTube to go watch your special and go see him live. What are you apologizing for? What happened?
I'm addicted to interrupting. That's what I'm apologizing for.
Well, you're doing good. Maybe the next playthrough we'll do better.
Thanks,
all right. Thanks, bud.
Appreciate you.
All right. Thanks again to Jeff Leach for being here. I'm looking up something. I got my glasses on. For those of you at home, you don't even know what's going on. I'm looking up. I'm so disheveled with the way things were today that I didn't have all my stuff organized, and I'm trying to get this done as quickly as possible. I could edit this out, but I think it adds a little bit of something, a little bit of like, hey, you know what? This guy's cool. He's like hanging out with us. I'm just pulling up these goddamn suicide numbers. These goddamn suicide numbers. Hey, I was in Victoria last weekend, doing shows at Heckler's. I know, terrible name, but great club in Victoria, British Columbia, Canada. Awesome. Never been to that area before. Beautiful, really fun, great shows, fun people on the shows with me. Can't wait to go back. And I do a joke where I mention 911 and I go, oh, whatever 911 is in Canada. And they go, it's 911, the whole room. And that brings me to this. You know that the suicide and crisis hotline in the U.S. is 988. in the US and Canada. Let me tell you something, Canada. For a bunch of people that don't want to become the 51st state, what? We sure are very similar. That makes sense. Same country code for the phone. I mean, I do see his point a little bit. Be an easy transition, but I wouldn't want to be the 51st state at this point. Political, United Kingdom 0800-689-5652, Australia 131114, Finland 0925250111. If you are in any of these countries, by the way, write to people, write to your Congress people. I don't know who they are in those countries, and tell them, hey, let's get 3 digits. The U.S. isn't number one in everything, but let me tell you, as far as emergency hotlines, we're crushing it. Germany, you already know. You already know Germany. Come on. 03044010607. Get the fuck out of here. Wikipedia page, just put list of suicide crisis lines. All the countries are on there. Get help. Call somebody, talk to somebody, reach out to somebody. Call into the show. I haven't checked it in a while because people weren't really calling in or texting. I'm going to check. 305-563-7264. That's +1 area country code. Joe Rain, call into the show. Thanks for being here. I promise you. Well, I want to promise just in case something goes wrong, but I will try my hardest to never have another podcast late again. Thank you guys for being here. Love ya.